Are you prepared?
Aww.
Okay, ready? Aloha, humans! My name is Lorelai, but you could call me Lori, and welcome back to the Platypod with special guest.
Hey, I'm tired.
Ace, who's never enthusiastic when we start, but hopefully actually gets involved.
You just lost like half your enthusiasm.
Okay, so in the last video we did chapters 3 and 4 of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and that was 2 weeks ago because we weren't in our usual recording location and the Wi-Fi was out.
Plus, there was just like a lot of issues at that point. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, just not a good week for it. But we are back with Chapter 5, The Rescue of the Tin Woodman. And if you don't remember what happened in the last chapters, you should go to the previous video. I don't know how to link to it except for in the description, and there's no way I'm going to remember to do that.
You can do annotations after you've posted.
How? I used to know.
You go to the video that you posted, and then you can find a thing that says add annotations. I figured that out the one time I tried to post a video.
Okay, well, you'll have to show me how to do that when we upload it. Now, Chapter 5, The Rescue of the Tin Woodman. When Dorothy awoke, the sun was shining through the trees, and Toto had long been out chasing birds and squirrels.
Oh wait, we forgot to mention the counters.
Oh, right. We have the bleep counter, which is reset, and the life debt counter, which is at the same number it was last time, which was 3? Or 4? I don't actually remember, so I'm just gonna...
I think it's 3.
I'm gonna trust future me to get that accurately, so there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Blah, blah, blah. She sat up and looked around her. There was the Scarecrow, still standing patiently in his corner, waiting for her.
I watched you sleep.
Well, it's more like,
I kept watch while you sleep?
more like Pearl in Steven Universe. It's like, sometimes I'd like to watch you sleep.
And by sometimes, I mean all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Steven Universe.
I'm not caught up, so shush.
I am caught up. I'm screaming still.
Shush. Spoilers. Spoilers! Spoilers. We must go and search for water. Rude! Wait, did you cuss?
I don't think they could have heard it if
I'm
I
gonna
did.
bleep it anyway.
You're gonna bleep silence.
It was not silence. The microphone's right here. Headphones warning. We must go and search for water, she said to him. Why do you want water? He asked. To wash my face clean after the dust of the road, and to drink so the dry bread will not stick in my throat.
That's the only reason? I mean, you drink to live.
Anyway.
Or you drink to forget.
Stop. That's not funny.
Yeah, it's really not.
It must be inconvenient to be made of flesh, said the Scarecrow thoughtfully. Thoughtfully, with his brain that he doesn't have. For you must sleep and eat and drink. However, you have brains. And that's not spoilers.
Yeah, everybody's probably seen
And it
the
is
movie.
worth a lot of bother to be able to think properly. I just said with his brain that he does not have. We know he doesn't have brains already.
I'm looking at the fence outside the window, and I just saw this weird, creepy stone mouth.
Yeah, what about it?
Are we gonna make that the thumbnail? Because it's a really creepy looking thing.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, so our thumbnail is a creepy looking stone mouth.
Why don't you go get a picture of it right now?
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Go get a picture of it and send it to me. And while you do that, I'll keep reading.
But then I will lose track.
It's fine. I'll catch you up. Maybe. However, you have brains, and it is worth a lot of Rude! I'm gonna bleep that, and it wasn't even a cuss word. It was just rude. And it must be worth a lot of bother to be able to think properly. They left the cottage and walked through the trees until they found a little spring of clear water, where Dorothy drank and bathed and ate her breakfast. She saw that there was not much bread left in the basket, and the girl was thankful the Scarecrow did not have to eat anything, for there was scarcely enough for herself and Toto for the day. When she finished her meal, she was about to go back to the road of yellow brick. She was startled to hear a deep groan nearby. What was that? She asked timidly. I cannot imagine, replied the Scarecrow, but we can go and see. Just then another groan reached their ears, and the sound seemed to come from behind them. They turned and walked through the forest a few steps, when Dorothy discovered something shining in a ray of sunshine that fell between the trees. She ran to the place, and then stopped short with a cry of surprise. Ah!
I hate going out into that area.
You do? Why?
Bugs everywhere, it's generally pretty muddy. I have to climb over like 1,000 sticks.
You could clean it up.
Did you miss the part that it's muddy?
You can clean it up.
Yes. How am I going to clean up mud from dirt?
Fair enough. Okay, they just found something shiny in the woods. And Dorothy noticed that they were lacking a little food. Okay. Like, they didn't have enough food for after that day. Okay? That's where we are. One of the big trees had been partly chopped through, and standing beside it with an uplifted axe in his hands was a man made entirely of tin. His head and arms and legs were jointed upon his body, but he stood perfectly motionless, as if he could not stir at all. Dorothy looked at him in amazement, and so did the Scarecrow, while Toto barked sharply and made a snap at the tin legs, which hurt his teeth, because Toto has no chill. Did you groan? Asked Dorothy. Yes, answered the Tin Man. I did. I've been groaning for more than a year, and no one has ever heard me before or come to help me.
That's a little bit more verbose than his thing in the movie, which was
Oil crown! Oil crown!
just kind of whining, like...
Stop it, I don't like those sounds. What can I do for you? She inquired softly.
Are you going to bleep that too?
No. She inquired softly, for she was moved by the sad voice in which the man spoke. Get an oil can and oil my joints, he answered. They are rusted so badly that I cannot move them at all. If I am well oiled, I shall soon be all right again. You will find an oil can on a shelf in my cottage. Yeah, that works.
It's so creepy, isn't it? Like, look at those teeth.
I kind of expected you to get like a close-up from straight on, but that works too.
I couldn't get closer. There was like no way I could get closer. There were branches everywhere. I did zoom in. That was me zooming in.
Jeez.
There were too many branches everywhere.
Dorothy
I already got a scar on my leg. I'm not getting any more.
Dorothy at once ran back to the cottage, so the random stranger's house they slept in was this guy's. At least there was no chance of him just wandering home while they were sleeping there and being like, what are you guys doing here? Were you about to say something?
Or like axe murdering them in self-defense.
Axe self-defending.
Axe manslaughtering.
No, it would not be manslaughter. That would be intentional.
Anyway, manslaughter is such a much more scary word than murder. Right. So why is murder's when you do it intentionally, and manslaughter's when you do it unintentionally?
Or like you did the act intentionally, but you didn't mean for it to kill them. That's like a kind of manslaughter.
Yeah.
There's many kinds.
So you didn't mean to kill them if you commit manslaughter.
But it's slaughter of man. That sounds way worse
than murder.
If I ever hear murder in that voice, I'm going to be distraught. And I mean without knowing that it's you saying it. Just out of context. Just murder. That would just freak me the heck out.
Murder.
Where was I? Dorothy at once ran back to the cottage and found the oil can. Dorothy at once ran back to the cottage and found the oil can, and then she returned and asked anxiously, "Where are your joints? Where are your How old is she?
8?
Oil my neck first," replied the Tin Woodman. So she oiled it, and as it was quite badly rusted, the Scarecrow took hold of the tin head and moved it gently from side to side until it worked freely, and then the man could turn it himself. "Now oil the joints in my arms," he said, and Dorothy oiled them, and the Scarecrow bent them carefully until they were quite free from rust and as good as new. Now we're going to assume we oiled the jaw after that, because I forgot that his jaw wasn't rusted in this. The Tin Woodman gave a sigh of satisfaction and lowered his axe, which he leaned against the tree. "This is a great comfort," he said. "I have been holding that axe in the air ever since I rusted, and I'm glad to be able to put it down at last.
You don't have muscles.
Now, if you will oil the joints of my legs, I shall be all right once more. So they oiled his legs until he could move them freely, and he thanked them again and again for his release, for he seemed a very polite creature and very grateful. I might have stood there always if you had not come along. Ooh, that sentence, he said. So you have certainly saved my life. How did you happen to be here? We are on our way to the Emerald City to see the Great Oz, she answered, and we stopped at your cottage to pass the night. Why do you wish to see Oz? He asked. I want him to send me back to Kansas, and the Scarecrow wants him to put a few brains into his head, she replied. I lost my place. The Tin Woodman appeared to think deeply for a moment. Then he said, Do you suppose Oz could give me a heart? Why, I guess so, Dorothy answered. It would be as easy as to give the Scarecrow brains. True, replied the Tin Woodman. So, if you will allow me to join your party, I will go to the Emerald City and ask Oz to help me. Come along, said the Scarecrow heartily, and Dorothy added that she would be pleased to have his Wait. The inflection there was different than I thought it would be. Come along, said the Scarecrow heartily, and Dorothy added she would be pleased to have his company. So the Tin Woodman shouldered his ask? What? He shouldered his questions. So the Tin Woodman shouldered his axe, and they passed through the forest until they came to the road that was paved with yellow brick. The Tin Woodman asked Dorothy to put the oil can in her basket. For, he said, if I should get caught in the rain and rust again, I would need the oil can badly. It was a bit of good luck to have their new comrade join the party, for as soon as they had begun their journey again, they came to a place where the trees and branches grew so thick over the road that the travelers could not pass. But the Tin Woodman set to work with his axe and chopped so well that he soon cleared a passage for the entire party. Dorothy was thinking so earnestly as they walked along that she did not notice when the Scarecrow stumbled into a hole and rolled over to the side of the road. Indeed, he was obliged to call to her to help him up again. Why didn't you walk around the hole? Asked the Tin Woodman. I don't know enough, replied the Scarecrow cheerfully. My head is stuffed with straw, you know, and that is why I'm going to Oz to ask him for some brains. Oh, I see, said the Tin Woodman. But after all, brains are not the best thing in the world. Have you any? Inquired the Scarecrow. No, my head is quite empty, answered the Woodman. But once I had brains, and a heart also, so having tried them both, I should much rather have a heart. And why is that? Asked the Scarecrow. I will tell you my story, and then you will know.
Exposition!
So while they were walking through the forest, the Tin Woodman told the following story. I was born the son of a woodman who chopped down trees in the forest and sold the wood for a living. When I grew up, I too became a wood chopper, and after my father died, I took care of my old mother as long as she lived. Then I made up my mind that instead of living alone, I would marry, so that I might not become lonely. Blech. There was one of the Munchkin girls who was so beautiful that I soon grew to love her with all my heart. She, on her part, promised to marry me as soon as I could earn enough money to build a better house for her. So I set to work harder than ever.
Why does she have no character other than the fact that, hey, I wanted to marry her? That's kind of sad.
Well, I mean, he's trying to tell the story of how he came to lose his heart and brains and all of that, and came to become a Tin Woodman. And she's really not that important a character in the story of that.
True.
If he was trying to tell the story of, like, how he fell in love and it was great and wonderful and she was perfect, then she would probably have a lot more character.
True. I'm just kind of disappointed because, like,
also,
there was
it's
this comic that I read
digger.
some of called Namesake. It was basically people... It involved a lot of the Wizard of Oz in it, and they did actually feature him getting married to that Munchkin girl after the events of handling things with Ozma and stuff. And it actually is really depressing because he's actually dead at the beginning of the events.
Yeah.
And so is, like, pretty much everybody except his grandchildren.
Yeah. Anyway, may I continue?
Spoilers. Anyway, so it's just depressing because she never has a character.
Okay. But the girl lived with an old woman, who did not want her to marry anyone, for she was so lazy she wished the girl to remain with her and do the cooking and the housework. So the old woman went to the Wicked Witch of the East, and promised her 2 sheep and a cow if she would prevent the marriage. Thereupon the Wicked Witch enchanted my axe, and when I was chopping away at my best one day, there we go, for I was anxious to get the new house and my wife as soon as possible, the axe slipped all at once and cut off my left leg. Wow, okay.
Dark.
Ace walked away.
I'm coming back.
Ace needs to come back right now.
Give me a mo.
How about I don't give you a mo?
Give me, 2 mo's, then.
Alright, I'll give you 2 mo's. 1 Mississippi. I was gonna say Missouri, but it's not long enough. But that would have been a mo.
Anyway.
This at first seemed a great misfortune, for I knew a one-legged man could not do very well as a wood chopper, so I went to a tinsmith and had him make me a new leg out of tin. The leg worked very well once I was used to it, but my action angered the Wicked Witch of the East, for she promised the old woman I should not marry the pretty Munchkin girl. When I began chopping again, my axe slipped and cut off my right leg. Again I went to the tinner, and again he made me a leg out of tin. After this, the enchanted axe cut off my arms, one after the other, but nothing daunted, I had them replaced with tin ones. The Wicked Witch then made the axe slip and cut off my head, and at first I thought that was the end of me, but the tinner happened to come along, and he made me a new head out of tin. I thought I had beaten the Wicked Witch then, and I worked harder than ever, but I little knew how cruel my enemy could be. She thought of a new way to kill my love for the beautiful Munchkin maiden, and made my axe slip again, so that it cut right through my body, splitting me into 2 halves. Once more the tinner came to my help, and made me a body of tin, fastening my tin arms and legs and head to it by means of joints, so that I could move around as well as ever. But alas, I had now no heart, so that I lost all my love for the Munchkin girl, and I did not care whether I married her or not. I suppose she is still living with the old woman, waiting for me to come after her. Okay, can I just point out that maybe, rather than it being you lost your heart, and so you no longer love her, you just realized you didn't love her enough for it to be worth all of this crap? Come on! You've been replaced entirely with tin now!
It talks about the whole thing. All we can tell from your relationship is you fell in love with her because she was pretty. You didn't really know much about her personality, apparently.
And what she wanted from you was a new house.
Yeah. She wanted a new house from you. Anyway, can we also talk about the song, Hey There, Mr. Tin Man?
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, that song, it's basically a song saying, you don't want a heart, trust me, it's too painful. That's kind of ignoring the fact that the only reason he wants a heart is because he's basically lost all of his humanity and he just wants a piece of that back. And he feels like being able to feel and is more important than...
But of course, okay, part of this series is going to be analysis, right? We've been analyzing things, we've been nitpicking up to this point, but I think it's finally time for some real analysis. We all know that everyone except Dorothy already has what they want, just not in a physical, literal sense. The Scarecrow learns and has plans and ideas, so he obviously has intelligence, if not a physical brain. And the Tin Man's thing is that he wants to be able to feel, so he thinks he needs a heart. But he's definitely the most emotional of all of the characters as we go along. Spoilers.
And it's not portrayed as a bad thing that he's emotional, except when he goes a little bit too far and makes himself rest again. Yeah. Which is actually a pretty good thing, considering, generally speaking, men are often taught that being emotional is bad. Alright.
I think we should wait to get into the toxic masculinity until we get the Cowardly Lion.
Oh, yeah!
Alright, where was I? My body shone so brightly in the sun that I felt very proud of it, and it did not matter now if my axe slipped, for it could not cut me. There was only one danger, that my joints would rust, but I kept an oil can in my cottage and took care to oil myself whenever I needed it. However, there came a day when I forgot to do this, and being caught in a rainstorm, before I thought of the danger, my joints had rusted, and I was left to stand in the woods until you came to help me. It was a terrible thing to undergo, but during the year I stood there, Wow! Alright, during the year I stood there, I had time to think that the greatest loss I had known was the loss of my heart.
Where's my urban fantasy story about the Tin Man having PTSD from all that stuff you went through?
Almost had to bleep you again. Terrible thing to undergo. During the greatest lost my heart. While I was in love, I was the happiest man on earth, but no one can love who has not a heart. Okay. And so I am resolved to ask Oz to give me one. If he does, I will go back
and I don't fall in love.
Well, yeah. A physical heart is not the prerequisite. He doesn't know that, but that's the truth. That was quite the sound. If he does, I will go back to the Munchkin Maiden and marry her. Both Dorothy and the Scarecrow had been greatly interested in the story of the Tin Woodman, and now they knew why he was so anxious to get a new heart. As do we all.
I mean,
all the same, said the Scarecrow.
Earthbound got very famous for a book that feels very clunky when you actually read it.
I shall ask for brains instead of a heart, for a fool would not know what to do with a heart if he had one. I shall take the heart, returned the Tin Woodman, for brains do not make one happy, and happiness is the best thing in the world. Dorothy did not say anything, for she was puzzled to know which of her two friends was right, and decided if she could only get back to Kansas and Aunt Em, it did not matter so much whether the Woodman had no brains and the Scarecrow no heart, or each got what he wanted. Wow, harsh. Doesn't matter if they get what they want.
Wait, she's got another life debt!
Oh yeah! Ding! That was my reminder to put in a ding there so I can remember. Yeah, alright, how many does that make that? However many are on the counter, because I still have no idea what we left off with. 3? Yeah. Toto, the Munchkins, the Scarecrow, and now the Tin Woodman, that makes 4?
4? Yeah.
Is it 4?
And I mean, technically it's more than that, but we're only counting the Munchkins as 1.
Yeah, the Munchkins are one collective life debt. What worried her most was that the bread was nearly gone, and another meal for herself and Toto would empty the basket. To be sure, neither the Woodman nor the Scarecrow ever ate anything, but she was not made of tin nor straw, and could not live unless she was fed.
Oh, no really.
Alright, that was chapter 5. Thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I still think that song totally misses the point of the Tin Man.
Yeah, fair enough.
The song is like, you don't want a heart because I had my heart broken and it sucks. The point of the Tin Man is that he wants a heart because...
he wants to feel.
Yeah. Feeling may
ignoring the fact that he already feels.
He wants to feel, and he knows that it hurts to feel. He just doesn't care.
Okay, chapter 6, The Cowardly Lion. All this time, Dorothy and her companions had been walking through the thick woods. The road was still paved with yellow brick, but these were much covered by dried branches and dead leaves from the trees, and the walking was not at all good. There were a few birds in this part of the forest, for birds love the open country where there is plenty of sunshine.
Hey, the thing about the Tin Man in general just wanting to feel means he probably would appreciate feeling pain.
Oh. Yeah.
So, really, the entire song is pointless because he'd never agree with her in the first place.
Mm-hmm. What? There are 2 songs that are rather feel pain than nothing. Feel pain than nothing at all. And, Starve in Love. It's better to feel pain than nothing at all. Alright, I don't want to... Anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna need... Yeah.
But now and then there came a deep growl from some wild animals hidden among the trees. These sounds made the little girl's heart beat fast, for she did not know what made them. Probably more like... Alright, there we go. But Toto knew, and he walked close to Dorothy's side, and did not even bark in return. Oh! Oh no! Toto not barking. That's dramatic.
Also, Toto has no chill, but Toto's still a better dog than the dog from Earthbound.
Yeah! Yeah, the dog from Earthbound's just like, I don't want to go outside anymore.
And then Toto's just freaking out, but Toto's still right by Dorothy's side the whole time.
He could have run off at any point.
Who's your favorite character in Earthbound?
In Earthbound? The Mr. Saturns.
Boing! Zoom!
I love them. They're so nice, and they have free doctors.
That's pretty cool.
It's Thank you, Mr. Saturn.
You think that might be like the entire thing about Earthbound is was created because of the kind of storytelling you could do with it. So, do you think that's kind of the point? Another symbolism point? The game has a lot of symbolism.
Sure. And if you want to tie it back to, like, Undertale making Earthbound references, Tempe Village.
Yeah.
Is the Saturn Valley of Undertale. Okay.
Except Tempe Village relies much more on consumerism than Saturn.
Yeah.
Valley.
And they just give you stuff. Like, things that will revive fallen party members, and we are way off topic.
Or coffee that'll make you trip out.
Yeah. Okay, we're way off topic, but it does remind me of something. Instead of doing a normal Slime Rancher video tomorrow, I'm going to be live streaming at around 1
p.m.?
Yeah, p.m. Definitely p.m.
Central time.
Yeah. Because, like, everything that I need to do right now is just, like, a bunch of grinding and basic stuff so I can make the Gordo traps and stuff. So, if you're interested in talking with me, and maybe Ace, I might invite her, and watching, like, just the boring stuff that I usually cut out or fast forward in the episodes, you should come watch that. 1 p.m. Central Time. Alright.
Someday we might live stream this.
Back to the book. Okay. How long will it be, the child asked the Tin Woodman, before we are out of the forest? I cannot tell, was the answer, for I've never been to the Emerald City, but my father went there once when I was a boy, and he said it was a long journey through a dangerous country, although nearer to the city where Oz dwells, the country is beautiful. But I am not afraid, as long as I have my oil can, and nothing can hurt the Scarecrow, while you bear upon your forehead the mark of the Good Witch's kiss, and I will protect you from harm. But Toto, said the girl anxiously, what will protect him?
Hold on, just put Toto in the basket, or just hold Toto in your arms, and Toto will be fine.
We must protect him ourselves if he is in danger, replied the Tin Woodman. Just as he spoke, there came from the forest a terrible roar. Roar! That is not right. Headphones warning. Headphones warning. It's definitely more low-pitched than that.
Roar!
That'll work.
And the next I'm a tiny person. I can be loud, but I can't be deep.
and the next moment, a great lion bounded into the road. With one blow of his paws, he sent the Scarecrow spinning over and over to the edge of the road, and then he struck at the Tin Woodman with his sharp claws. But to the lion's surprise, he could make no impression on the tin, although the Woodman fell over in the road and lay still. And there's an illustration of this, and the Woodman is sitting in the grass with the most stunned expression, but also a grin. I really wish I could show that, but I don't want to get a copyright strike. And Barnes & Noble still hasn't contacted me back, so.
Dang you, Barnes & Noble!
Little Toto, now that he had an enemy to face, ran barking toward the lion, and the great beast had opened his mouth to bite the dog.
No wonder Dorothy's worried about Toto.
When Dorothy, fearing Toto would be killed and heedless of danger, rushed forward and slapped the lion upon his nose as hard as she could, while she cried out, "Don't you dare bite Toto! You ought to be ashamed of yourself, a big beast like you, to bite a poor little dog!" "I didn't bite him," said the lion, as he rubbed his nose with his paw where Dorothy had hit. "No, but you tried to," she retorted. "You are nothing but a big coward." "I know it," said the lion, hanging his head in shame.
This is the toxic masculinity chapter. He attacked them to make himself seem strong and powerful, but in reality, he was just being a coward.
"I've always known it, but how can I help it? I don't know, I'm sure. To think if you're striking a stuffed man like the poor Scarecrow." "Is he stuffed?" asked the lion in surprise, as he watched her pick up the Scarecrow and set him upon his feet while she patted him into shape again. "Of course she is. Ugh. Of course he is stuffed," replied Dorothy, who was still angry. It was on a different line. "That's why he went over so easily," remarked the lion. "It astonished me to see him whirl around so. Is the other one stuffed also?" "No," said Dorothy. "He's made of tin." And she helps the Woodman up again. The Woodman. But he's not a Woodman. He's a Tin Man.
This reminds me of Black Brick Road of Oz, because I find it really funny, that comic, because the Scarecrow's an arsonist.
I know! I like that comic. Go check out that comic. I don't have the link, but if it still exists, you should look at it. It's been years.
has been years.
At least 3.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get very in-depth into, like, the backstory of the Cowardly Lion in that one.
Okay, where was I? That's why he nearly blunted my claws, said the lion. When they scratched against the tin, it made a cold shiver run down my back. What is that little animal you are so tender of? He is my dog, Toto, answered Dorothy. Is he made of tin or stuffed? Asked the lion. Neither. He's, a meat dog, said the girl. He's a curious animal, and seems remarkably small, now that I look at him. No one would think of biting such a little thing except a coward like me, continued the lion sadly. What makes you a coward? Asked Dorothy, looking at the great beast in wonder, for he was as big as a small house. No, he was not. I'm looking at a picture, and he is maybe the size of a small car.
Like, maybe a smart car.
Oh, it says horse.
A small horse.
That makes more sense.
Yeah! Okay, then.
Oops.
Facts that Lori made up.
I'm gonna have to bleep you there. It's a mystery, replied the lion. I suppose I was born that way. All the other animals in the forest naturally expect me to be brave, for the lion is everywhere thought to be the king of beasts. I learned that if I roared very loudly, every living thing was frightened and got out of my way. Whenever I've met a man, I've been awfully scared, but I just roared at him, and he would always run away as fast as he could go. If the elephants and tigers and bears had ever tried to fight me, I should have run myself. I'm such a coward. But just as soon as they hear me roar, they all try to get away from me, and of course, I let them go. But that isn't right. The king of beasts shouldn't be a coward, said the scarecrow. I know it, returned the lion.
Pause.
You can't pause people. Alright, what is it?
I mean, it just looks like, he's being a nice guy, and everybody's just like, nope, that's bad.
You're mean. He tried to bite the dog.
He did try to bite the dog, but that's probably just because everybody's shoved expectations on him being all tough and strong, and he's probably gonna have to defend his position from usurpers.
No, because they're all scared of his roar.
Mm-hmm.
That you so helpfully did not demonstrate earlier. No.
It isn't, but it's funny, isn't it?
You keep voice cracking at the end there. Also, once again, gonna have to have a headphones warning. Because, holy crap!
That's why I'm directing it towards you rather than the microphone.
I know it, returned the lion, wiping a tear from his eye with the tip of his tail. Aw. Okay,
he cries too easily.
Ace is now banned from sound effects. You are banned from sound effects.
Sorry.
Let me finish the page.
I'm sorry, we were just making the same sounds as each other at first.
It is my great sorrow, and makes my life very unhappy, but whenever there is danger, my heart begins to beat fast. Perhaps you have a heart disease, said the Tin Woodman.
Or adrenaline.
It may be, said the lion. If you have, continued the Tin Woodman, you ought to be glad, for it proves you have a heart.
Wait, hold on.
For my part, I have no heart, so I cannot have heart disease.
Hold on, I'm just like... This is a very strange... Okay, like, the heart beating faster thing, that's a natural thing in response to danger. That's
just adrenaline.
Yeah, it's not a cowardly thing. It's sort of a, gotta get ready to fight or, run away. I was about to say a curse word. Anyway. Hey, but anyway, the Tin Man is kind of being...
Oh, wait.
A bit awkward, being like, you're lucky you can have heart disease. I can't, because I have no heart.
Holy crap.
That's kind of just their attitude throughout the entire thing.
Hey, that was the first... no, I got drowned out, but it would have been, had I actually finished the word, the first time I would have had to have been bleeped.
Oh my god.
Would have been.
I wish you had
Luckily, you
finished
cut
it.
me off. Perhaps, said the lion thoughtfully, if I had no heart, I should not be a coward. Have you brains? Asked the scarecrow. Sorry. I suppose so. I've never looked to see, replied the lion. I'm going to the Great Oz to ask him to give me some, remarked the scarecrow, for my head is stuffed with straw. And I am going to ask him to give me a heart, said the woodman. And I'm going to ask him to send Toto and me back to Kansas, added Dorothy. And that was grammatically correct, by the way. That was grammatically correct. We were at Interactive Introverts, and Dan
finally starting to pop out.
No, that's always like that. And Dan finally said Phil and I, but it was not grammatically correct. It was like the one time it was wrong. Do you think
vintage meme?
Do you think Oz could give me courage?
Phil and I were friends, and then I took an arrow to the knee.
That was right. Ow.
Sorry.
Do you think Oz could give me courage? Asked the Cowardly Lion. Just as easily as he could give me brains, said the Scarecrow.
So maybe not at all.
Right. Or give me a heart, said the Tin Woodman. Or send me back to Kansas,
I feel like the last one would be the easier one.
Then, if you don't mind, I'll go with you, said the Lion, for my life is simply unbearable. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Unbearable.
Without a bit of courage. You will be very welcome, answered Dorothy, for you will help to keep away the other wild beasts. It seems to me that they must be more cowardly than you are if they allow you to scare them so easily.
Everybody's so freaking, like...
They really are, said the Lion. But that doesn't...
That's good timing.
But that doesn't make me any braver. And as long as I know myself to be a coward, I shall be unhappy. So
he would probably be really scared of that mouth thing on the fence.
That's what that represents now.
I'm forcing the mouth thing on the fence, so at least it makes sense as a thumbnail.
So once more the little company set off upon the journey, and the lion...
Mamma mia!
Stop! The lion walking with stately strides at Dorothy's side.
They're making
Toto
another Mamma Mia movie.
And more. Toto did not approve this new comrade at first, for he could not forget how he nearly had been crushed between the lion's great jaws. But after a time, he became more at ease, and presently Toto and the Cowardly Lion had grown to be good friends. During the rest of that day, there was no other adventure to mar the peace of their journey. Once, indeed, the Tin Woodman stepped upon a beetle that was crawling along the road and killed the poor little thing. This made the Tin Woodman very unhappy, for he was always careful not to hurt any living creature, and as he walked along he wept several tears of sorrow and regret. These tears ran slowly down his face and over the hinges of his jaw, and there they rested. When Dorothy presently asked him a question, the Tin Woodman could not open his mouth, for his jaws were tightly rested together. He became greatly frightened at this, and made many motions to Dorothy to relieve him, but she could not understand. The Lion was also puzzled to know what was wrong, but the Scarecrow seized the oil can from Dorothy's basket and oiled the Woodman's jaws, so that after a few moments he could talk as well as before.
Wait, how can the Woodman cry?
He still has his eyes.
That's disturbing. They should make like a horror movie based on this, and
you say they should make a lot of movies based on this.
There's so much possibility here. I mean, you've got the body horror of him having actual eyes, but
this will serve me a lesson, said he,
body.
To look where I step. For if I should kill another bug or beetle, I should surely cry again, and crying rests my jaws so that I cannot speak.
There's body horror from the fact that he chopped his body into small bits.
Yeah. Thereafter, he walked very carefully, with his eyes on the road, and when he saw a tiny ant toiling by, he would step over it, so as not to harm it. The Tin Woodman knew very well he had no heart, and therefore he took great care never to be cruel or unkind to anything. You people with hearts, he said, have something to guide you, and need never do wrong. But I have no heart, and so I must be very careful. When Oz gives me a heart, of course I needed mine so much. Okay, that's the end of the chapter, and I would like to point out that it just demonstrated that out of everyone, the Tin Woodman is the most emotional, and the Scarecrow is the best at problem solving.
Yeah, I mean,
he was able to instantly figure out what the problem was.
Interestingly enough, while thinking that they don't have it, they actually show that trait more. You notice? Like, the Tin Woodman is much more sympathetic to other living things and makes a note to be more careful there because he thinks he doesn't have a heart and thus needs to pay more attention to be sympathetic.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Scarecrow, who thinks he's stupid, so he doesn't quite realize how intelligent he is. So when he makes notes like that, he figures things out, he kind of brushes them off and say, that's not smart, it's just common sense.
Mm-hmm. Anyone would know that. That's why I know it. Mm-hmm. Alright, so...
And then the Cowardly Lion is definitely toxic masculinity.
Yeah, but he's actually quite brave, as we will find out next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
When he stops trying to act like everybody expects him to act and act like himself.
So that's the end of those chapters. I think we've just given our notes. So...
Dang, this one was short.
Shorter than usual, yeah, I would say so. Live stream for Slime Rancher tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central Time.
Wait, I just realized.
Ace might be there.
The Cowardly Lion is the only... companion that Dorothy got that didn't require a life debt.
Oh, you're right. The Cowardly Lion doesn't have a life debt. Yet. He might have one later. We don't know. I'm pretty sure at one point everyone gets a second one.
Yeah.
Like everyone that already has a life debt of like
except
Scarecrow.
Maybe the Munchkins.
Well, we'll see. So, that'll do it for this one. So, thank you guys so much for watching, or, I guess, listening. This has been Ace.
Hey!
And I. And we'll be back tomorrow for Slime Rancher for the live stream. And then next week...
You said we so confidently there.
Yeah. I'm going to have you on the stream looking at the chat. Because there'll totally be people in the chat, right? We'll be back tomorrow for the live stream, and then we'll be back for The Wizard of Oz on Monday. So, until then, have a good one. Bye!